piece of history. Barolo, as we know it, is really only internationally famous since the 1960s or 70s, about the same time that Brunello was kind of waking up to the fact that it was dead good as well. They really get going into the 80s. But the guy who was sort of one of the key principal drivers around Barolo and all wines of the Langhe region in Piemonte was a guy called Renato Ratti. And he, in 1965, began his own winery operation and was hell-bent on doing things slightly differently, not because he wanted to do things differently, but because he wanted to focus on something that hadn't really been at the forefront of production values. And that was declaring the place of origin, like provenance. We're all over like that today. Where does it actually come from? No, I want the geographical specifics. And he was the first person to really do this in Barolo. What had they been doing before? Well, they've been making amazing wines before, and everybody's very excited, and everybody loved Barolo. That's grand. But at Barolo, of a house, was a blend of different vineyards, and it was the blending and the overall offering on which a producer was judged. So a bit like blended malts in whiskey. People didn't think that a single malt was what everybody wanted, because what they wanted was a much smoother expression of the whiskey. And the same in Barolo. People had vineyards, or they had vines in lots of the different special named vineyards and vineyard areas, and they would blend them together, and that would be what they took to market. What Renato Ratti did was to say, that's all well and good, but like, if you've got an amazing single vineyard, why not bring it to market as it is? And from the mid-70s, he did that. And one of the very first things he did was this vineyard here, Marcenasco. And this is right in the heart of La Mora, which is one of the most elegant and traditional of the Barolo regions. And what you get is this texture, tension, weight, tannin, really quite present in the mouth. And then this wonderful, almost limpid set of flavours. So it's really clear, and you can feel and point out and pick and say, that is rosebud, that is tar, that is licorice, that is black cherry, that is red cherry. And it becomes very, very clear. And then all the spice that you expect from lovely maturing Barolo as well. It's in the middle of La Mora. It's one of the closer Cru villages to, or vineyards, to the town of Barolo itself, next to Monforte d'Alba. So it's in that sort of slightly further south than the other bits, than Barbaresco, for example, which is to the north and east. So you do get more generous fruit, darker fruit in youth. So what about the vintages? 1998 was a cracking vintage. It was fine. It would have been one of the best vintages in history were it not for 1999, and then 2001 that followed. They were just unbearably good for poor old 1998. But look, it meant that we got some good value out of it anyway. These are wines that live for a long time. They change, they develop, and right now this is very much in its plateau stage. So it's done all its maturing in terms of it's going to get better and better. No, it's now at that place. And the curious thing about Barolo is that they reckon it's got a shelf life of 100 years. Now, I don't know. I can't prove that. I certainly can't disprove it. This will go some way to seeing what it's like after, 25 years or so. Ratti really is a very important and fundamentally good producer. There's a lot going on. Also, quite interestingly, for someone who was really into Cru status, it wasn't like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell everybody that Crus are the way forward because I've got loads of them. He only has three single vineyard wines that he makes. And I think that that's quite courageous, because it would be easy to say, oh, yeah, you've got to do what I do because I'm the best. And he didn't do that at all. He just said, this is the right thing to do, almost altruistically. And that's why I've always thought his wines are fantastic. And indeed, they always are.